Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code Ryan to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. mybookie.ag, promo code Ryan, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. mybookie.ag.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
In the words of our former Vice President Joe Biden, this is a big effing deal. The three most powerful men of the most successful franchise in the National Football League have it out for each other. The three most powerful men of the most successful franchise in the National Football League might be letting the whole thing fall apart. It is the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. It's day 4 of the revolution, and the Willisha is in the street. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN.
So we're going with that one?
I don't know.
Has it been decided?
No. We can keep the vote open for a while.
I like that one.
Willisha?
I love Willisha.
Willisha, Cain Mutiny, the Mutineers, the Wonderlickers, the Citizens, the Citizen Canes.
I'm going to motion to get rid of Wonderlickers.
Wonderlickers is sticking, pal. Wonderlickers is here to stay. I don't know if Bill Belichick is here to stay. Seth Wickersham, the investigative reporter for ESPN, has a piece up that landed this morning on what's going on in New England and the fight between Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft. And when I read this piece, when I'm done internalizing every detail and I'm done thinking about it, I will tell you this. I don't know whose fault it is, but I know whose side I'm on. And I'm on Team Brady. Before we get into the dirty details of this, I want to go around the clubhouse and I want to hear, what team are you on? Whose side are you on? We'll start with you, Smallman.
I'm Team Belichick, and I cannot believe you're Team Brady.
We're going to have this out in a moment. Bubba?
Belichick.
This is ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have no loyalty, emotion. I don't know what the issue is here. Let's keep going. Cerruti?
I know one of your biggest fears is the mob mentality, but I also agree it's Belichick. I'm on his side.
You guys have... I don't know what's wrong with you people. Now, just listen here. I'm going to open your mic, and you're on super secret probation, Mr. Patriot. But you have a chance here, Kevin Winter, to tell me where you are on this. I'm turning your mic off if this goes poorly. Whose team are you on?
It's Belichick.
God, dog. And that's coming from a guy, I mean, your hair is dyed one of the colors of the Patriots logo. You are red, white, and blue.
I'm a former season ticket holder.
As far as I'm concerned, you're a former fan as well, selling out Tom Brady like this. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Here's the deal. I think I know where all of you are coming from. I think I know how all of you got here. I think you're looking at it dispassionately, which is surprising coming from you, Kevin Winter. You're looking at it dispassionately. You're saying, I know what's needed for the long haul. I know how life works. I know how football works. I know it gets cutthroat, and you can't be emotional. You can't be loyal forever. And maybe I'm naive, or maybe I'm hanging on to concepts like loyalty a little too tightly. But maybe I think this is the essence of being a sports fan. Maybe this is what it's all about in the end. Maybe there's a reason there will be Tony Romo statues in Dallas with no Super Bowl rings. Maybe there's a reason that Dirk Nowitzki could own any car dealership in the state of Texas that he wants to. But loyalty between a hero and a market, loyalty between fans and a guy they've rooted for 17 years means something, especially when he's still playing at an MVP level. I don't know how you three got here. You'll get your chance. Seth Wickersham is saying this. This is what's come between Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady. Essentially, these elements. The role of Alex Guerrero, Tom Brady's personal trainer, his role within the building, the advice that he's given several Patriots, and whether or not he'll continue to have full access to the Patriots' facilities. His coaching style. Whether or not Bill Belichick's style has finally started to wear thin with their most important player, their superstar Tom Brady. Who will be the last man standing in New England? Who will be the one to carry on the legacy? And most importantly, dictating that outcome, the fate of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Bill Belichick did not want to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. And then, in fact, it was this sort of impossible situation that was coming to a head in the building, and it's really caused problems that have been behind the scenes for months between the three most powerful men in New England.
The role of Jimmy Garoppolo, the future of Jimmy Garoppolo within that organization is what was ultimately the fault line in this relationship. Now, I'm not saying it's over, by the way, and I'm not saying it can't be repaired. If there's any organization you don't want to doubt, it's the New England Patriots. But I am telling you this is a big deal because this has the potential to alter the future of at least 4 franchises in the NFL. It has already changed the future of the San Francisco 49ers. It might well change the future of the New England Patriots. It might well then change the future of whoever gets the lucky prize of having Bill Belichick as their next coach. We'll get into that a little bit later. And if not Bill Belichick, the franchise that gets Tom Brady, because there is no indication this man is done playing football anytime soon. This, as I said, Joe Biden liked to characterize it, is a big effing deal. And the details, Sir Rudy, in Wickersham's piece are amazing. How this happened. How this went down.
And yet you're still on Brady's side. How could you read that piece and not think that he kind of came off looking like the bad guy in this situation?
Well, first of all, you need to ask ourselves, why did he come off looking like the bad guy? What does that tell us about the piece? And we can ask Seth Wickersham. We might have Seth on the show a little bit later. The story is sourced, I'm sure solidly, but with unnamed sources. We can, by the very nature of Brady coming out looking like the bad guy in that piece, have some indication about where the details were coming out from, right? Jimmy G's camp and or Bill Belichick's camp. Tom Brady did not want this story to come out. Right? So, is it any surprise that in your 4 minds, Tom Brady looks like the bad guy in this? My response to you is this. What? Tom Brady didn't want to help out Jimmy G? Didn't want to give him tips on his footwork? Tom Brady didn't want to help Jimmy G recuperate from a shoulder injury last season after his second start by letting him into the TB12 Center?
He was threatened by Jimmy Garoppolo. And, when Jimmy Garoppolo injured his shoulder a year ago, he told people in the Patriots building that he went to TB12 to get treatment and they wouldn't see him. And he knocked on the door and it was locked, and he called trainers and nobody picked up, and he ended up going with the team trainers and only ended up going to TB12 2 weeks later after one of the Patriots officials called and essentially told them, what's going on? Why aren't you treating this guy?
That was Seth Wickersham, the investigative reporter on the piece on last night with Neil Everett on the 1 a.m. Sports Center. What an amazing visual, by the way. Little Jimmy G knocking on the door. Tommy and Alex diving behind the desk. He's here. Get down.
Shoulder in a sling.
Did you lock it? Did you lock the door? Oh, crap, he's calling. Jimmy walking around, can't get in the door, peers in through the window on the side. Is anybody in there? Can't get into TV12 Center?
Guys.
Man. But the thing is, Tommy's not doing anything anybody else hasn't done. How do you make him out to be the bad guy? How do you 4 make him out to be the bad guy? This is what Brett Favre did. It's what Aaron Rodgers does. It's what every superstar does. Nobody wants to groom their successor. Why should Tom Brady?
I totally understand that argument, but if you're boxing this guy out and you're going above the head coach to the owner, especially in an organization like the Patriots where everybody falls in line, he now knows that he's above everybody else, and he's putting everyone in that organization in a weird place, and that's why I think it's his fault.
So your contention is that Tom Brady has sold the organization for the price of his own self-betterment. He's out for Tom Brady, not for the Patriots.
For probably the first time ever, yes, in an organization that doesn't let people do that.
Right.
And when you do that, it totally undermines everything that Bill has built in New England.
And that's why I think actually it's Brady/Alex Guerrero who come off looking the worst.
Hey, we're going to get out of here, so I'll ask you guys a couple of questions. You can answer these on the other side of this break. Did Tom Brady sell Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick at the last minute? Is Tom Brady helping the defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots get a job as we speak? Is Tom Brady the one looking for jobs for Josh McDaniels as we speak? Is Tom Brady the one that held on to Jimmy G too long when his market was at a high in the spring? Is Tom Brady the one that's really selling out the New England Patriots? Why are you giving Belichick all this credit for looking out for the greater good of the organization? and Tom thinking his career is not one and the same with the greater good of the organization. That's Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. We'll find out. We'll get the answer to those questions from you guys. Who's the one really taking care of the long-term future of the New England Patriots? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code Ryan to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. Mybookie.ag, promo code Ryan, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. MyBookie.ag.
I'm severely outnumbered. It's 4-1.
That's a situation that you're used to, though, around these parts now.
I'm really comfortable. When you say these parts, Rudy, what do you mean, by the way? Like this part of the country? This part of the company?
Yep.
First take?
Yep.
What parts are you discussing there, pal?
Everything you just listed.
All encompassing.
I've been like a special forces soldier behind enemy lines for quite some time. I have been behind enemy lines long enough that when I go home, my loyalty is going to be questioned. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Why don't you become one of those guests? Get into the question. Get into the conversation. Whose side are you on? 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Are you on Tom Brady's side or are you on Bill Belichick's side? Because truthfully, honestly, you got to know there are sides in this deal. Now, Bill Simmons tweeted something out, which I'm a Bill Simmons fan. He said, look, what, a 40-year-old quarterback, a 65-year-old coach, and a 70-something-year-old owner might not have the prettiest ending. Hot fire. Like, of course, that's the way it's going to end. And he's right. As far as the ending, this was the ending that was going to happen in New England sooner or later. 3 massive egos, 3 highly successful individuals coming to the end of their career was an inevitability. And the prospect of that being ugly was also an inevitability. And when it comes to fault, I actually don't blame any of them. I don't blame Belichick. I don't blame Kraft. I don't blame Brady. But I am on Brady's side. I don't think it's anybody's fault.
Or anyway, it's nobody's fault.
Sometimes life just works that way. Sometimes everyone's self-interest does not work and pull in the same direction.
I agree with you that it's nobody's fault, because if I was in Brady's situation, I might think the exact same way. But how do you not understand that he is doing things that are detrimental to what the Patriots do as a franchise? Like, how do you not understand that?
What is he doing that's detrimental?
If you're a Patriots fan, your longevity could have been, you could have another 10 years of dominance in the AFC with Jimmy Garoppolo. And instead, because Tom Brady was selfish, and I would have been selfish the exact same way, so I'm not saying it's his fault, but this is the reality of the situation. He was selfish, went above Belichick, who wanted to get him out because he wanted to extend the franchise another 10 years with Garoppolo, and got his way. That's wrong.
Okay, now first of all, what you're accusing Brady of is being great for too long. What you're accusing Brady of is hanging on to his job because of his excellence for too long. And by the way, Bill Belichick may agree with you. I didn't really plan on this. I didn't think he was going to be great for this long. How do you fault Tom Brady for that? How do you fault him for putting together an MVP caliber season? Let me correct that. An MVP level season at the age of 40. Why is he at fault for being great? That makes no sense.
But Will, when it comes to the trade, this was always going to be from Robert Kraft. That is the belief of New England ever since he basically said, "You're my son." It was Belichick could try to trade Brady. It needs that approval. And that is the one time where the owner, who at once drafted or demanded Bill Parcells to draft Terry Glenn, which is what drove the tuna out of town, that was the one time where everyone would have said, "We'll let Robert have this one."
In fact, Seth Wickersham, the investigative reporter for ESPN.com and ESPN the magazine, says what happened, in fact, was that Belichick and Kraft ended up in a long meeting, an unusually long meeting, to determine the future of the New England Patriots.
2 weeks before the trading deadline,
Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft had a meeting, and they've met a lot this year, more than in most years, but this one went long, and people in the building didn't know what was going on. Bill's meetings for the rest of the day kept getting canceled and postponed, and he came out of that meeting with the directive that Jimmy Garoppolo is not in our long-term plans, and we need to figure out a trade partner. And he texted Kyle Shanahan, and when they connected on the phone, that trade went down.
I want you guys to hear me out. Smallman, I want you to hear me out, okay? I'll take you guys each on one at a time. This is how I like to do it. There's 4 of you. I can't. It's not a battle royale. We're not swinging wildly here. We go 1v1, one at a time. If you guys start going all at me at once, there's a chance I could lose. I don't like losing. Here's the deal. What you're accusing Brady of is a multitude of things. And what I'm telling you is at the end of that, not only is he not guilty, everyone else is guilty of mostly the same things. Number one, you're accusing Brady of being good for too long. No, he, in fact, has been great for too long. Number two, you're accusing him of not grooming his backup. Guess what? No one does. The guys that do are the exception to the rule. The guy that says, let me help you replace me, are the exception to the rule. Number three, I've already lost track like Rick Perry. Number three, you're accusing Tom Brady of not helping the long-term future of the New England Patriots over his own self-interest. What I'm telling you on this front is, number one, why do you think Jimmy Garoppolo is for sure the long-term savior of the next 10 years? You've got 2 years guaranteed with Tom Brady. That's my contention. And by the way, I've got 5 Super Bowls. I've got 4 Super Bowl MVPs, 3 All-Pros, and 13 Pro Bowl years to back up. That's not a risky bet. If you want to bring some cliff nonsense to me and talk about cliffs, we can do that a little later in the show. But so you're banking it on 6 games of Jimmy Garoppolo, which was pretty good, but not as good as Tom Brady this year. So you're saying he's being too good. He's not helping out replace him, and he's sacrificing their future by saying, hey, I'm still here playing great. I can keep doing it for another 2 years. Why is that something to be blamed?
I don't think anyone is blaming him for being too good for too long. I think this is all about Brady's ego. This is about his legacy. He doesn't want to groom Jimmy because he's threatened by him. He doesn't want Jimmy to succeed after he ends it and hangs it up, because then it's like, oh, it's Belichick, it's not Brady. That as long as Jimmy's out of the equation, which he views as a threat, he doesn't view Brian Hoyer as a threat. He doesn't want someone that comes in and succeeds, therefore in any way impeding on what he built there.
Welcome to everyone in the world. No one wants somebody to take their job. No one wants somebody to come in and perform better than them.
Sure, but then it's about him and not about the organization.
And Jimmy G is not performing better than Tom Brady. Not now, not in the past, not in the short-term future.
Sure, but in a 5-year span, would I bet on a guy who's going to turn 41 in August or a young guy who's showing flashes of great success?
I also think it's fascinating, as you guys are saying, he's the one mortgaging the Patriots' long-term future. I asked this rhetorically. I'll now let you answer. Do you not think it's really... I said to you, all the sins you're accusing him of can be said are being done by Bill Belichick. Is Bill Belichick looking out for the long-term future of the New England Patriots when he decides to call Kyle Shanahan up early in the morning and say, I'll give you Jimmy G for a second?
Absolutely.
No auction.
You got a draft pick.
No
and he was not trading him to Cleveland.
Put your jammies back on, Cleveland. You got a draft pick.
He was not trading him to Cleveland. That is a fact.
He didn't put him out to open market, man. He texted Kyle Shanahan early in the morning and said, hey, this is according to Seth Wickersham, give me a call when you wake up. Then he said, hey, not what will you give me, not what would you pay for Jimmy, not even seeing if a first is available, saying, would you give me a second? And everyone has said that's way low.
Because where's San Francisco drafting? It's basically a first.
Man, your Kool-Aid is running through your veins on this. I'm the one looking out for the Patriots' long-term future here. Okay, let's keep going, though. You like the second with no auction, no bidders, no competition. You like taking a second. That's all you think Jimmy was worth.
That's
cool.
What Belichick loves to draft.
All right. So what about getting rid of both your defensive coordinator and your offensive coordinator in the same year?
Who says he's getting rid of them?
He's helping them get jobs.
He's always done that.
He's ready to help Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels move on right away now.
How many interviews did Patricia and McDaniels have last year prior to the game against Houston in the divisional round?
So by helping them get jobs, he's helping the long-term future of the New England Patriots?
Are we sure he's helping them get jobs, or is he actually applauding them and backing them up for taking the interviews, just like he did a year ago? Does it seem more feasible that this year they would leave?
Cut his mic. That's enough, Kev. That's enough.
Challenging you.
Enough, Kevin. The Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Get a quote that's easier than ever. All right. Call lines are lit up. I'll let you get in here. I'm outnumbered here. I don't know if that means it's going to be outnumbered on the phone as well. I don't know. Let's get a should-be Hall of Famer in here as well. See if we can find Darren Woodson to come in here. He got the all-access pass yesterday, right? Should have just walked in right away, by the way. So let's do that. Darren Woodson next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The NFL on ESPN Radio.
A story that is now going to possibly shake the foundation of the National Football League.
Kraft gave Belichick a mandate to trade Garoppolo.
There is a rift between Brady and Belichick. And, they've never been best friends, but this is just different.
Kraft's not selling the team. Brady's not going anywhere. So if this is the beginning of the end, there's only one person who may be on the move, and that would be arguably the greatest coach in any sport in any time, Bill Belichick.
People say, well, is he going to be Will Cain from First Take, or is he going to be Will Cain from the Russillo Show? I think we know the answer in the first half of this show and which one it was today.
Were you First Take, Will, today?
I was a little First Take. I've been
today.
told it was a little contentious.
Good. Yeah, that's good. That's the Will I know.
That's the
Will I know. Keep doing Will.
It's Darren Woodson in studio giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. On the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Hey, man. I think it's like getting in a street fight. If there's four of them, you're not going to...
You surround it?
You just start swinging.
Were they all Patriots fans, or were they...
No, Kevin over there is so Patriots that he's got red hair. And these three... I don't know. I'll ask you this. Okay, I don't know how everybody gets to Belichick's side. The funny thing is, I was told that the Patriots fans are out in force, and all of the Patriots fans are on Team Belichick. What's fascinating to me is...
And Team Belichick is looking to keep Garoppolo.
Well, yeah, but he's gone now.
He's gone now, but in the end, his mindset was to build for the future as well. That was his mindset. Am I correct on that?
Yes. So, I didn't see. Oh, you're attacking me. I didn't.
No. I'm just saying. I totally agree. Where look, it's been the Patriot way for years. You're never bigger than the organization, and you've seen guys. Richard Seymour. I remember that. I remember that situation. I remember Lawyer Malloy. Who was like a staple for that organization for years. And they were heartless in the decisions to let these guys go. Right when they felt like you were just dropping. Jamie Collins last year. Mm-hmm. If there was any incident off the field, Chandler Jones, another one. If there's any incident off the field, or if they feel like your skill set is declining in any way, you're out the door. That's been their hallmark for years. That's nothing new. But to see it now and to see it unfold in this situation where, listen, Brady, I'm not going to be Max Kellerman and say he's falling off the cliff. That's
Thank you, because I will go bananas if you do that.
That's not happening. But you have to look for and prepare for the future. And Belichick had the club's best interest in keeping Garoppolo. However they figure it out, Garoppolo being the age that he's at right now, and Brady being the age that Brady's 40-some, Garoppolo's future is going upward. And he has a tremendous amount of value in the success in this organization for the years to come. It's going to come to an end at some point with Tom Brady. It is.
How many more years do you think Tom Brady will play at a top level?
Maybe, look, he has this year. He's played well. He's struggled a little bit in the last 5-6 games, but he's arguably the MVP of this year. I think next year is another one. But then after that, you just never know. You never know about next year. When Father Time jumps on you, and I was there, man. It happened to me. I'll tell you how it happened to me. I was watching film, and we had a film of practice, and I'm watching there, and I'm seeing, watching practice, and I remember a play happening, and a guy ran by another guy, one of our defensive backs. And I looked at it, and I was like, man, that dude got ran by, and it was me that got ran by.
You saw it on film.
I saw it on film. And it just happens to you. When Father Time jumps on your back, it just happens too. It just happens. You just don't, you can't defend yourself. And we just don't know when that's going to happen with Tom Brady. So I think.
How much longer did you play after that moment you saw yourself on film?
About a year. I fooled him for about 2 more years.
What does you mean you fooled him? Did you play at a high level?
Figured out, yeah. Well, not as high as, the confidence was shaken.
See, you almost got on to something there, Darren, and this is where I'm coming from. You said, what you started to say, and if I'm not wrong, you said not as high as you used to play.
That's right.
You're comparing yourself to yourself.
Yes.
You're not comparing that version of Darren Woodson to who the guy might be that would replace you.
No.
And what I'm saying is Tom Brady, even over the next 2 years, compared against Tom Brady at his peak, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It probably will not be that.
Right.
But you're making a lot of assumptions with Jimmy Garoppolo over those same 2 years, and you're making even more assumptions over the 5 to 10 year window you're talking about for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is your cost benefit that everyone is so certain about in this room, it's not exactly buttoned down and nailed down. And I also get a little loyalty on my side of the equation.
So what hurts you by keeping Garoppolo? I mean, under the salary cap is a big
that you can't have both.
You can't have both, right? So I get that part of it, and I get the part of it that you want to be loyal to a guy that has done done miraculous things for the organization and continues and has another chance to win it this year and possibly next year. I get that part of it, but there's always that thought of what happens if Tom Brady gets hurt in the first playoff game.
Well, what happens if Jimmy G gets hurt?
No, but I'm just saying, just right now, let's say you had Jimmy G as a backup.
You can't keep going back on that, Steve, because it wasn't an option to have both.
But I can't, I think you have to, I think they are in a great position. I remember the San Francisco 49ers had Joe Montana and Steve Young. I mean, they were in the end, they had to make a decision on the greatest quarterback of all time, which was Joe Montana. And they allowed Joe Montana to move on to Kansas City, and they gave the job to Steve Young. And what happened? They ended up getting another Super Bowl ring after that. And Steve Young went on to have a Hall of Fame career. This is very similar in that, but at least they patted themselves for the future in having Steve Young there. At least they made the decision to say, okay, we're not going to get rid of Steve Young. Just imagine if they got rid of Steve Young and then Joe Montana was falling off the cliff. In the end, do they get back to I may have 4 Super Bowl rings instead of the 3 that I have right now.
It's easy to call Steve Young in retrospect. We'll see if Jimmy G is Steve Young.
Looks like him right now.
I wanted to ask you about a $100 million coach. We got to get into this.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
I got to get out of here. We'll get into it straight ahead. Darren, thanks for your time, man.
No problem.
How much is the best coach in the NFL worth? What about another guy? How much is that worth? $100 million? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Make it 5-1. I'm getting crushed. How am I doing on social media? Am I getting crushed there too?
Most people, I'd say, are on the control room side, which is the Belichick side.
Yeah, I think everybody's a little constipated in their thinking. You need to adhere to a little more. You need what is it? Have a more limber mind, more flexible mind. Adhere to some kind of regimen to get it there. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. You can tweet the show. Speaking of, at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Will Cain Show, and give us a call, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Same thing on the phone lines? I'm crushed on the phone lines?
Pretty much everyone's saying Belichick.
What do you say, Adam, in Pennsylvania? Team Brady, Team Belichick?
Oh, definitely Belichick. There is no Brady without Belichick being there. He drafted him. And in the 6th round, you were saying he only gave up the 2nd round, but what round did he draft Brady in?
That's like the internal debate. That's the chicken or egg debate. That's like almost having a religious debate. How did the world begin? I mean, is Brady responsible for Belichick or Belichick responsible for Brady? I mean, honestly, there is no answer to that question. You can spin that ball around all day long and not land on an answer. If Belichick doesn't have Brady, does the past look like it has? Is Bledsoe a 5-time Super Bowl champion? Is Bledsoe a 13-time Pro Bowler? Is Bledsoe a 4-time Super Bowl MVP? I don't think so, man. And I don't think Belichick has all that either. Can I tell you guys this? I told Woody this. You guys can poke holes in this however you want. The bottom line is this. I think you're granting too much to the future of Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G looks good. But all the evidence we're using to base that on is evidence that looks worse than Tom Brady does now. Not at his peak, but how he looks at 40.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be ascending. That's the whole point.
I know, but
he's only had, 4, 5, 6 starts in his career?
That's my point, too, so that's great. I like it when we agree. He threw 5
We don't agree.
He threw 5 picks in his limited starts in San Francisco.
And he has no weapons there. The fact that he's even winning with that team is a miracle.
Tom threw 8 picks all season.
They didn't have a win, and then he went undefeated.
Listen to me now, carefully, because you accuse me of moving the bar. The argument is not, is Jimmy G good? I think he is. But the argument is also not, is he ascending? He is. But you're taking that line that you're drawing, going, Jimmy G's doing this right here. Draw a line with your hand. Do this right here in your car. Draw an upwards line. And what you're assuming is that line goes up like this into eternity.
So take everything you just said right there. Why are you blasting New England for getting just a second-round pick?
Oh, you're stuck on the left.
Kevin. You're not making sense.
Turn his mic off.
You're not making sense.
He's trying to win the last debate.
I'm trying to help you.
I'm serious. Turn his mic off.
At the end of the day, you're saying that maybe the 18 months of Tom Brady being what he is now, which we don't know how he could be a totally different guy next year. You're saying that's worth more than the potential of what could be a good to great career of Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what you're saying for 10 years.
I'm saying, hold on to this. Okay, seriously. I think the guarantee over the next 18 months of Tom Brady has less risk in it than what Jimmy G does look like over that same period. And even when you're extrapolating out further and you're saying, but we get 5 to 10 years of good franchise quarterback play, you might, but there's a higher level of risk in that. So what you're trading is a worse short term for a more tenuous long term. And this is sort of like in the end, the feather in my cap. I do believe in loyalty, man. In the end, I do believe. Like, the dude's been a hero. He's been a hero to you. And I do believe in heroes, and I don't care. It's naive, and it's goofy.
Will, let me ask you this. 3 years from now, when Tom Brady is no longer playing and the Patriots don't have another quarterback and they're going 4-12 every single season, how pumped are you going to be that they stayed loyal to Tom Brady at the end?
If Bill Belichick is as great as he says he is, as everyone says he is, and I think he is, by the way, and Bill Belichick has the long-term future of the New England Patriots in mind, he'll find another quarterback to groom.
I think everything would point to the fact that he didn't think that. He thought Garoppolo was his future.
Jonathan in Baton Rouge on 104.5. What do you think, Jonathan?
Man, I got to side with Belichick on this one, man. I'm sorry, Will. I totally disagree. I think that, Belichick, he had his guy, like when Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, that situation went down. Brett Favre had a couple of years left, but they saw what they had with Aaron Rodgers, and he's got to make the move. And unfortunately, you'll never know what Garoppolo could have done with that team. You say that he threw 5 interceptions, but he didn't have the players around him like Brady has at New England. I think he could have been the answer going forward in the future, if you ask me.
I hear you, Jonathan, and I hear everybody. There's just a lot of could-haves, would-haves, should-haves, and might-have-beens in that whole scenario. And maybe it's likely. And maybe it fits into neat historical analogies like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Maybe it's just like Joe Montana and Steve Young. Do you think that's a little bit of a gamble? Do you think that's a for sure lockdown 100% proposal? They just traded away Aaron Rodgers? They just traded away Steve Young? Or was the greater risk to say goodbye to a legend, a hero, one who is not coming over the edge of some cliff right now, one who is playing at an MVP level, is the favorite, the overwhelming favorite, the Las Vegas odds 2-1 favorite to win the Super Bowl. And I would say, going into 2018 season, the still overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl. You're trading that away because you think you might have Steve Young or Aaron Rodgers on your roster.
You know who thinks that? And this is the reason that I'm backing it. The greatest coach of all time thought that.
Yeah, but he also just didn't like Guerrero.
That's
a good point. It's a good point. I need to grant good points.
What? I thought we were talking about John Gruden this segment.
I did too. I forgot about that. Here's the wrecking news for you. John Gruden, 10-year, $100 million contract with the Oakland Raiders. By the way, what's Belichick make? He's
about $7.5 million a year.
So the greatest coach of all time, we've got a unanimous agreement on that in the room, right? Greatest coach of all time, $7.5 million a year. John Gruden, $100 million over 10 years.
Dave Campo.
Thank you, Bubba. Thanks, Bubba. Pour one out for Dave Campo. Never let it be forgotten. What's Sean Payton make? He's the highest paid coach before.
He's north of 8.
North of 8. So here's the deal. If this New England thing goes south, what does Belichick get? What is Belichick worth? What are the New York Giants going to give Bill Belichick? That straight ahead on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio.
Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code Ryan to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. mybookie.ag, promo code Ryan, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. mybookie.ag.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
I like Teddy. I like Teddy Bruschi. But this doesn't just happen. This is not a regular day at the office for the New England Patriots. I saw Teddy Bruschi on First Take this morning saying what we just heard Kevin Winter play during the SportsCenter update. This is what happens. No, this is not a regular day at the office. And I know that because Teddy Bruschi told me that a few moments earlier when he said he's never seen Robert Kraft side with a player over Bill Belichick. He's never seen somebody go over Bill Belichick's head. He's never seen Bill Belichick trade away the backup quarterback without a succession plan in place. No. This is not a regular day at the office. This doesn't just happen. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. You can tweet the show on the oneairflowers.com Twitter feed at Will Cain Show or hit me up at Will Cain. Give me a call on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Even if we're forced to accept the proposition that this just happens, we know that the Brady-Kraft-Belichick divide has already affected the fortunes of one NFL franchise drastically, that being the San Francisco 49ers. When, according to Seth Wickersham, Bill Belichick called up Kyle Shanahan early in the morning and said, "Have I got a deal for you?" He altered the future of the San Francisco 49ers and what they would look like. Now, what other organizations will also be impacted? We'll see. The New England Patriots. I said before the break, what would the New York Giants give for Bill Belichick? I mean, if John Gruden's worth $100 million, what is Bill Belichick worth? If you were guessing right now, where is Bill Belichick coaching in the beginning of the 2018 season? You cannot answer New England Patriots. Did you see that?
I mean, I can't answer New England Patriots. It's amazing. 30 NFL franchises today think he's coaching their team.
Can I tell you something? I think there's a reason that I like you. Which is news to you because it's probably not obvious. And it's probably the first for you. That guy likes me. And this is also why I like Boston, actually. And why I like New England Patriots and New England Patriots fans. I see similarities between New England and Texas.
Absolutely.
A love, like a xenophobic, micro-focused pride in where you're from, a, to some extent, closed-off nature to everybody else. Not all of the qualities are things to be proud of, but I see similarities.
But we embrace them.
That's why I think Ryan Russillo and I got along as well. I'm not going to agree with New England Patriots on everything, New England Patriots fans, but I actually really like them and appreciate them. I don't like, guys, something else I heard on First Take this morning. Bubba, do this for me, okay? You got this? I'm just so done with this Tom Brady's going over the cliff thing. I'm so done with it. And Max, my man Max Cudden was trotting it out this morning again. Let's hear it, Bubba.
This cliff that you keep talking about Tom Brady is on, I don't know what you're talking about because I don't see it. And by the way, your 18 months are up.
Pause it right there.
In July.
Pause it right there. He's putting together an MVP level season. Tom Brady is the MVP of the NFL. Right? I mean, come on. Todd Gurley, nice second place season. Who else? It's Tom Brady. I started again, Bubba.
July of 2016.
Right. No,
it is now
end of
January
July.
of 2018.
End of July.
I'm sorry. We listened.
August,
we listened.
September,
I'm sorry,
October,
Matt. You can't take it, can you? You can't take it. You can't take it, can you?
Well, you can't
so
make things
talk
up.
for 10 minutes. We didn't say anything. We're not making anything up. You said 18 months.
You can't
it's up.
add.
You said it in July.
Hold on. You can't add. August, September, October, November, December. Now it's January. It's not the end of January yet.
Oh my God! So in other words, we're going to see even though Tom Brady is an MVP candidate. So if Tom Brady, for some example, had a bad day a week from Sunday, the cliff has arrived. That's in the world of Max. Okay, no problem.
Let me get to my bigger point. Weeks,
okay.
5 in a row.
All right. Does he make another point that I need to hear there? Max made a prediction that is inevitable. Okay, watch this. The sun will come up tomorrow. What time, Will? I didn't say that. The sun will come up tomorrow. Well, great. The sun comes up every day. Tom Brady will eventually go off a cliff. Great. 100% of not just NFL players, but athletes of all kinds end at some point. Eventually, they all stop. And it happens relatively quickly. 100%. When, Max? When? 18 months. 18 months, and he's putting together an MVP season.
I mean, technically, that would be the definition of a cliff, though, right? He could win the MVP this year and then fall off of it.
During the playoffs?
You never know. That's a cliff. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're wrong.
That's a cliff.
You're wrong.
I'm not. Let's get this out there, too. I'm not taking Max's side. I'm just defining what a cliff is.
So let me get this straight. And God loves Stephen A. for this, man. Every once in a while, the guy can hit the note just right. Tom Brady can be MVP all season long, but if he has a bad game in the playoffs, he went over the cliff.
That's Max's cliff is whenever Brady loses. It'll be he will literally put a picture of the cliff on the day the Patriots are eliminated.
So let me get this straight. It's been 18 months to have it pointed out. He made the prediction in July. It's now January. Max's rebuttal is end of July, thus giving me to the end of the month.
Which puts him at the AFC title game.
It's like paying your bills. I told you I'd send you that check in January. I didn't say January 1. Max, your take bill. It's coming back. Insufficient funds. It's not working.
Can you imagine, though? Because look, if the Patriots lose and Brady doesn't have a great game in the AFC Championship game, he's going to walk into First Take Monday morning like LeVar Ball.
God.
And honestly, he would deserve it and earn it.
He would not.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes, he would.
No way.
One bad game does not make a cliff.
I'm not saying it's not right, but he's going to do it. And
Max,
it's
if
be
you're
awesome.
listening, you can call. I have said from day one, my job here is to tell the truth and never go unchecked. 888, give Max the hotline. I don't know. You want me to get out on air?
Let's not do that.
Okay.
Not a good idea.
You guys can call in Max's stead if you think this cliff argument's panning out. It's 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Like Ryan, listening on Sirius XM. What's up, Ryan?
How you doing, Will?
I'm good. Pretty good.
Want to let you know that everybody who's disagreeing with you is wrong, and here's why.
Yes.
You're taking an NFL product, which the goal in the NFL is to win today, not 2 years from now, not 5 years from now, because you never know what that's going to look like. So you're asking people to give up on an MVP quarterback for a what if. And let's not forget that Belichick found Garoppolo in the mid-rounds. Who's to say he can't do it again?
Absolutely, man. I appreciate the call, Ryan. We talk about this all the time. Championship windows are short, except for in New England's, but that's because Tom Brady has been the quarterback for 17 years. Championship windows are fleeting. You have to strike while you have the opportunity. We're all sports fans, every one of us listening, and you have your team that you pull for. I have mine. Look, I'm everything Dallas. That's the way it is. That's where I'm born and raised. I love the Dallas Mavericks. In 2006, they had their window. They lost it, man. Bennett Salvatore took it from them. He gave the championship to the Miami Heat. And the response couldn't be trade Dirk. They hung on to Dirk, and they found another window, but some 3-4 years down the road. The Patriots window is now. You don't trade the MVP of the season. Again, 13-time Pro Bowler, 4-time Super Bowl MVP, 5-time Super Bowl winner, because you think Jimmy G is going to be good 5 years from now. You just don't do it. All right, so is it Max? Is Max on the line? I don't know. Let me check. Okay. Here, let's do this. Tweet the show through the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Will Cain Show. Bring in the new year with gorgeous bouquets from 1-800-Flowers.com right now. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Phone lines are lit up. Somebody is coming at me. Okay. All right. Let's get into that straight ahead on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code Ryan to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. Mybookie.ag, promo code Ryan, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. MyBookie.ag.
Every one of us knows what it feels like to sort of be that injured animal back into the corner. You realize all of a sudden you're wounded, can't quite fight like you used to, and boy, you start flailing. I think that's where Max's cliff argument is. I think that's when you start backing it up to no, the end of January, that's the injured animal. Careful, because they're dangerous, but they are flailing wildly. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All callers on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, like Travis, watching on ESPN News in Missouri. What's up, Travis?
Will, buddy, I tell you, we need to get an octagon match with you and Max Kellerman. I would pay for that. I would spare no expense. I had no idea when ESPN let go of Skip Bayless or whatever happened there, that they could actually find a bigger tool to go along with Stephen A. Smith, but they managed to do it.
Me?
Now I'm counting. No, Max Kellerman.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, I got it.
I'm counting on you. We need to get this octagon thing going. No. $99.95 on Dish Network and DirecTV. It's coming. I'm doing it.
All right. Well, all right, Don King, put it together. Go ahead and promote that thing. You show enough zeros, maybe Max and I'll do it. But Max is not a tool. Okay. Thanks for the call, Travis. Listen, he's my adversary. That's a fact. Stephen A. is my adversary. That's a fact.
I do want to know though,
but
who would win in a fight? That's you guys like. You have similar builds, right?
Yeah, pretty evenly sized.
Yeah, about 6'1", 6 foot.
Yeah, but he's a boxer. Got that boxing background.
Well, good point, Bubba.
He'll kill you.
All right, is he a boxer?
All right, he's up, Bubba.
Kill you.
I mean, Will watches football. It doesn't mean he's good at football.
Go get Outsider. We're changing the board opera.
He went home.
On smoke break.
He passed up an opportunity to be on TV.
No, honestly, Cerruti, I'm going with Bubba on this. Max has been around boxers long enough. He surely knows, he knows footwork and stuff.
But like I said, you watch football all the time. Doesn't mean that you properly know how to run a slant route.
I bet Max has done some training. I bet he has. Max would whoop me. I might be meaner, and I'd have to rely on my anger, but that's exactly how that fight would go down, by the way. You could just see me flailing angrily, going low, trying to get him to the ground. He's dispassionate, explaining the intricacies of fighting to me in some long dissertation while just cutting me down one punch at a time. That's exactly how it would go.
And we'll get Stephen A. to be the play-by-play guy. I love this.
Yeah. Max is not a tool. I like Max. He's just wrong all the time. That's all there is to that. Stephen A., by the way, has always got more to say. You can hear what he's fired up about now, weekdays 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, SiriusXM, and TuneIn Radio. And catch up with the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast on demand on the ESPN app and TuneIn. All right. Coming off of Max's sound, this prediction, right? 18 months. We started thinking about 18 months, right? I think this is a fair way to assess the Brady-Belichick thing. Now, how are we doing this? Okay, if I told you Belichick was on the open market and you said, okay, he's going wherever you want to sign him, but the Giants, do you feel more confident that Brady would win a Super Bowl in that 18 months with the Patriots without Belichick, or Belichick would win a Super Bowl in New York without Brady?
This is an awesome question. It's interesting because it's the Giants, because I think the Giants actually have a pretty good team and can still win. They just fell apart this year because McAdoo seemed like he didn't know what he was doing. You keep Eli. They won 11 games a year ago. and they get to add the best coach in the history of the NFL.
You going to keep Eli, really?
What are you going to? Was he going to try to trade back for Garoppolo when he gets there?
He's going to draft his Garoppolo with the
No,
second
because
pick
you
in the
can't
draft.
win now. You can win. You can still win now with Eli. I'm saying in this scenario.
The answer is Brady.
I think the answer is the Patriots only because it's more familiarity, right?
Yeah, this is why ultimately, if they're both on the open market, clearly Belichick has more value, because what a coach can do is leave a foundation, leave a legacy, leave a culture that you would hope would outlast his actual years there with the team. When Brady's gone from some team, he's gone from that team. There's nothing he could have left behind. In fact, not unlike Matt Lauer at the Today Show or Charlie Rose at CBS This Morning, he ensured there's no successor in place.
By the way, doesn't that prove, though, that that's why the Patriots should stick with Belichick, because he has a longer-lasting impression on the franchise?
No. It's not a choice. It's only a choice in this scenario that you and I are forcing. When I say I'm on Team Brady, it doesn't mean I hate Belichick or that Belichick should go.
And when I say I'm on Team Belichick, it doesn't mean I hate Brady. I love Brady.
No, you don't like Brady.
Don't put words in my mouth, Will.
You remember when Teddy Bruschi and Damian Woody got in that fight on NFL Live?
Yes.
And Teddy said, no, I like Patriots. And he's like, no, you do not. He's like, if you have this position, you do not love the Patriots. You do not love Brady if you are telling me they should have sold him out for Jimmy G. That's the debate. See, it was Jimmy G versus Brady. It wasn't Belichick versus Brady. The fact that Brady won. By the way, who has the bigger button in New England?
Robert Kraft.
Robert Kraft's got the biggest button. You know who else has a big button? Tom Brady. Tom Brady's button is bigger than Bill Belichick's button. We learned that. Now he needs to tweet something like this. I have a football button too. It is much bigger and more powerful than his, and my button works. Tom Brady's got the button in New England. Robert Kraft's got the button in New England. Not Bill Belichick. No, it's got to be 18 months. It's Brady over Belichick.
Well, is it 18 months starting early January or late January?
It's a good point, Bubba. It's a good point. We need to nail that down now.
Yeah, let's get that on the record now. Early January, 18 months. Early January.
Play that again for me real quick, Bubba.
This cliff that you keep talking about Tom Brady is on, I don't know what you're talking about because I don't see it. And by the way, your 18 months are up. You made it in July of 2016.
Right. No,
it is now January of 2018.
End of July.
I'm sorry. We listened.
August,
we listened.
September,
I'm sorry,
October,
Matt. You can't take it, can you? You can't take it. You can't take it, can you?
Well, you can't make things
up.
up.
For 10 minutes. We didn't say anything. We're not making anything up. You said 18 months.
You can't
it's up.
add.
You said it in July.
Hold on. You can't add. August, September, October, November, December. Now it's January. It's not the end of January yet. That's 18.
So in other words, we're going to see even though Tom Brady is an MVP candidate. So if Tom Brady, for some example, had a bad day a week from Sunday, the cliff has arrived. That's in the world of maximum. Okay, no problem. Let me get to my bigger point.
Weeks, 5 in a row.
He's flailing, man. That's that injured animal right there.
You've got to respect him grasping for straws. I love it. There's an art to that, and he's mastering it.
To stick it. Has he set himself up, though, that the only way that the cliff doesn't occur is if Brady wins the Super Bowl? Has he set that up? Like, if Brady loses the Super Bowl, does Max get to win that he went over the cliff?
Oh, yeah. In his mind, I mean, not maybe in our minds, but in his mind, if Brady doesn't repeat, he
Brady
wins.
takes the Patriots to the Super Bowl and has a bad game in the Super Bowl,
the cliff has struck.
Get out of... Oh, my... I don't know. I need to take a breather. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. I think Kevin Winter's getting a little editorial there in those SportsCenter updates, huh? When's that?
It's pretty animated.
When's that rift going to actually happen? When's that going to come home? A little too many during his SportsCenter updates.
It's got to kind of balance things out.
Is that what that's called? Balancing out your news report with your fandom? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, presented by Progressive Insurance. All callers on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Give me a ring. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Hop on Twitter, @WillCain. The 100flowers.com Twitter feed is the @WillCain Show. Golick and Wingo will be on the road live Monday from Atlanta, Georgia for the College Football Playoff National Championship, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Excited about that. Bama, Georgia, Monday night. Before that, we got wild card weekend in the NFL. And you guys heard me yesterday. You know what I think. I think one of the teams playing this weekend is going to make their run to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I think the New England this is what I think. New England Patriots will lose to the New Orleans Saints in the Super Bowl. I think the New Orleans Saints will be your Super Bowl champion. They'll march right through the Carolina Panthers. I do not have faith in Cam Newton stringing together 4 straight victories. And after the way Cam played last weekend, completing 47% of his passes, I don't have any faith he can win a road game against that Saints offense. Every team in the NFC has a great defense. Every team in the NFC has a great rushing attack. Saints are the 5th ranked in the NFL. But not every team has Drew Brees in the NFC. Speaking of that, ESPN put out their playoff quarterback rankings, ESPN.com. It's an insider article, but I'm going to share it with you guys because you're loyal Willisha listeners. Here's your rankings right here. Brees is the 2nd-ranked quarterback among the playoff teams. Of course, number 1 is the guy who is unneeded in New England now, apparently. Some guy named Brady. Number 3.
Where do you think Garoppolo be on this list?
Yeah, where would Garoppolo be, Kevin?
Keep going on the list.
Let's actually do that. Let's say, hold on, let's come back to that. Where would Garoppolo be on this list? Number 3, Roethlisberger. Number 4, Alex Smith. Alex Smith?
Cam should be ahead of Alex.
Number 5, Case Keenum. 6, Jared Goff. Cam coming in at 7. 8, Matt Ryan. That's awful low for Matt Ryan. Jeez. 9, Blake Bortles. 10, Tyrod Taylor. 11, Marcus Mariota. And 12, Nick Foles. What are you laughing at, Bubba?
We were all just wondering what that noise Kevin made.
I think it was like a Scooby-Doo thing. Yeah. So where would Jimmy Garoppolo be? Where would he be on that list?
I'd put Garoppolo. Garoppolo should be 5, and you need to readjust those. Garoppolo needs to be ahead of Case Keenum. If Garoppolo's in Minnesota, that is a hands-down number 1 seed. They're going to the Super Bowl.
God love you, Kevin, but you have just your fandom. That's not real. What you just said. That's not.
You're kidding.
Case Keenum is an MVP candidate. Case Keenum's career
not an MVP candidate.
That's not true. He is an MVP candidate. Well, it's a fact. He's had pretty much an unimpeachable year. People have such a hard time getting over brands. Like who you've been for years is who you are now. The New Orleans Saints don't play defense. That's what everybody thinks because they haven't played defense for years. But no, that's not actually the case this year. The Saints are the 10th ranked defense in the NFL in points per game allowed. Jared Goff is still a trash quarterback. That's what everybody says because that's who he was last year. Jared Goff's season this year has been unimpeachable. He's been great. Case Keenum, a career backup who can't win an NFL starting job, has one and has been awesome this year. There's no way you start Jimmy Garoppolo over Case Keenum right now. There's no way you put him on these rankings higher than Case Keenum right now. Jimmy Garoppolo, scroll down, Strudy. Let me just see. Hold on. Let me go one at a time. Okay, he's below Tom Brady, but I guess that's a matter of some debate. Jesus. This is what I'm dealing with, and I'm in the minority?
No, see, now you're making a ridiculous.
Right.
You're changing this argument. No one's saying that Garoppolo is better than Brady right now.
No, all right, let's keep going on this stuff. Number 2. I don't think you caught me. Number 2, is he? I can't see it. Scroll up. Let me see. Is Jimmy Garoppolo better than Drew Brees?
No.
Is Jimmy Garoppolo better than Ben Roethlisberger? Number 3. Is Jimmy Garoppolo better than Alex Smith? Number 4. Less Kevin Winter.
Wow, this is putting me in a tough spot.
That's
here.
debatable, right?
No.
Did you watch the Chiefs midway through the year?
Number 1 in QBR this year. Alex Smith.
God, you're a QBR guy.
He's below Alex Smith. He's below. I know you're an Alex Smith fan, Rudy. It's not debatable. He's below Case Keenum. He's below Jared Goff right now. Jimmy G is below. I'm not saying he won't be given some time to develop, but man, the Jimmy G hype train has really reached peak levels in record amount of time. Record time. While he throws, 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions? Something like that?
With the Niners.
He's below Cam. He's below Matt Ryan. Okay, I slot him in right here at Blake Bortles. But I'm not going to make fun of Blake Bortles like everybody else because Blake has taken enough of this stuff. Listen,
The players or peers talking about you is a little new. I've never been somebody that thought that was the way you should handle things, but guys are different. I had a chance, fortunate enough, to play for George O'Leary in college, and playing for Coach O'Leary, you learn very quickly how to take criticism. So I had 4 years of practice doing that. So there's nobody that can say anything worse to me than he did.
How many times did you send this on?
Oh, daily. I got benched every other day.
It is really, I think it's really cowardly how players are attacked Blake Bortles. First of all, on that list of rankings of playoff quarterbacks, just for what it's worth, ESPN has him at 9. Below him, Tyrod Taylor. Put that back up, Sritty. Who's below 9? 10. Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota, Nick Foles. You don't hear people taking shots at those guys. I mean, that's just the playoff quarterbacks. You don't hear people taking shots at all the other quarterbacks in the NFL. Somehow Blake Bortles became a safe punching bag. And every defensive player from Jarrell Casey with the Titans?
Yep.
Is the latest one. Feels safe, usually after the Jags just beat them. What, Earl Thomas? I love Earl Thomas. Hook him. But Earl Thomas was one of these guys that did this. It's not cool. I mean, it's weak. You just lost to the Jags, and now you call their quarterback trash. Steve Young.
It's out of nowhere. He's a good kid. I mean, he's taken a beating since he got drafted. I mean, give him a break. I think mostly it's because they have such a dominant defense. And if he plays okay, this team could go to New England and maybe go to the Super Bowl. So I think maybe that's just drawing the ire of people. When he throws an interception, they lose. When he doesn't throw an interception, they win. So there's something about his performance that's bringing out all this irritation and ire, which is kind of weird because usually they have to mouth off to get that kind of treatment.
Man, I don't know why everybody's so safe going at Bortles service. Where will he be playing next year? By the way, I'm taking the Saints over the Panthers. I'm taking the Jags over the Bills. I'm taking the Chiefs over the Titans. And to make it go chalk on the home favorites, I think this is the weakest one. This is the toughest one. Rams, Falcons. I'm taking Rams against Falcons. I know I took all the home teams. And Rams-Falcons was the only tough call. The only tough call. In the end, I take the Rams for this reason. I believe in Wade Phillips and Aaron Donald. I believe that Rams defense is real, and I believe it can give Matt Ryan trouble. The Falcons are good. People have written them off a little bit too early because they've had a shaky season. But I think Jared Goff can manage that game while Todd Gurley plays time possession, keep away ball from the Falcons, and that defense gives Matt Ryan trouble. I'm taking the Rams at the end of that. And in the AFC, it doesn't matter because the two winners are going to lose to the Steelers and Patriots the next weekend. The Will Cain Show weekend preview, that's what that just was. Brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at Geico or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Check with me on Monday. We'll see how I did. Jags, Chiefs, Saints, Rams. Ahead. Where will Bortles be playing next weekend? Where will Kirk Cousins be playing next weekend? It looks like the Broncos going all in on Kirk Cousins. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. I'm going to get back into the drama in New England here at the top of the hour. I seem to be on an island. Well, not completely. I always got Tommy. Team Brady, everyone else is Team Belichick. And I think you guys think you're all doing it for like cold, hard, rational reasons. Thus is life. Survival of the fittest. Darwinian, you must move on, even from your heroes. I'm here to tell you don't even believe in heroes because you got one before you, right in front of your eyes, playing at heroic levels. And you, just like every other fan base in the NFL apparently, like potential and shiny hope better than what is real. Jimmy G over the long term is sparkly, shiny potential. And what we learned this week on the first week of the Will Cain Show is 20 different fan bases would sell their starting quarterback for the first pick in the NFL draft. So, Rudy, as we went through it, we thought, you and I made a list. I think my initial list was 8 or 9 teams that would sell their starting quarterback for the first pick in the NFL draft.
Yep, mine was like 12.
And then as we kept going and took calls, and it's closer to like 20.
Yeah, we had Saints fans being like, it might be time to move on from Drew Brees.
Yes. That's actually the Jimmy G. Brady debate to some extent. Like Saints fans going, you know what's happening with Brees?
It's not.
Hold on. I'm not doing tricks on you. This logic is no mirage.
Just need to keep you in line, all right?
Saints fans saying Brees is coming to the end of his window. We might want to re-up with the first pick in the draft, be it Darnold or Rosen for the next 10 years, selling thus away the next 2 or 3 years of Super Bowl contention with Breeze is nuts. The only difference between that and the Patriots is you have a more known commodity with Jimmy G. He's more known than Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen. He's more proven, but not vastly so.
Will.
I know what you're going to say, and it's a really good point. Okay, I'll let you say it. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if you know where I'm going. I'm trusting in Belichick that he knew what was best for this team, and he thinks that this is still a Super Bowl contender with Jimmy Garoppolo. If Sean Payton had a Jimmy Garoppolo type behind Drew Brees and wanted to get rid of Drew Brees, I would also trust Sean Payton.
Yeah, that's what I knew you were going to say. Yes, I did. It's a good point. It really is. The known commodity of Jimmy G comes with the greatest coach of all time seal of approval, and that means something. I still don't take it over the known commodity of 2 or 3 years of Super Bowl contention with the greatest quarterback of all time. I just don't do it. The Denver Broncos don't have that debate. They don't have to worry about those problems because they have no quarterback. But they are apparently very interested in Kirk Cousins. That seems to be the Denver Broncos quarterback of choice, according to several reports. It's not Eli Manning. They are not interested in Eli Manning. I don't know that Kirk Cousins would be my quarterback of choice if I were the Denver Broncos. In fact, I know it wouldn't be my quarterback of choice. Help me run through the options really quickly here, Cerruti. Who could potentially be on the Broncos' radar when we enter into this offseason? You have Eli Manning, potentially. You have Alex Smith, potentially. You have Kirk Cousins, potentially. Blake Bortles.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Potentially Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. And where the Denver Broncos have the 5th pick in the draft. That means they're going to probably have one of the 4 college quarterbacks that everybody likes, be it Darnold, Rosen, Josh Allen from Wyoming, or Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma. It's not going to go quarterback. I can guarantee you that. Whether it be Saquon Barkley or Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama, there will be another position player taken in the top 4 picks of the draft. So the Broncos will have some rookie quarterback to pick from. Given my choice, were I running this organization, that I think, and I have been clear about, John Elway has not handled his quarterback situation adeptly. He has not been a genius when it comes to figure out his quarterback succession plans. I'd go all in on Alex Smith. Of all those guys, Alex Smith is the guy that I would want. We've seen what Alex Smith can do with a good defense. And Kevin Winter can make fun of me for saying being a QBR guy. Alex Smith had his ups and downs this season, but the end of the product, the end of the season, Alex Smith proved to be a starting level quarterback in the NFL. Not just a starting level quarterback in the NFL, but an upper half starting quarterback in the NFL. And he's not going to cost what Kirk Cousins is going to cost. He's not going to take that kind of investment.
He's also sneaky, only 4 years older than Kirk Cousins. Seems like he's been in the league forever, and Kirk is still relatively young, but he's not. Kirk's 29, he's 33.
People forget how old Kirk Cousins is. Who would you go? Given that you're running the Broncos, which would you go with?
Well, I mean, I'm the resident Alex Smith apologist, fan club member number 1, so I agree with you, though. It's all about money. I like Kirk Cousins. I would take him. I'm a 49ers fan, right? I would have taken them before they made this Jimmy Garoppolo trade, but I don't want to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, which is probably what you're going to have to do to get him out of Washington, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of a pass for me. I'd rather still kind of try to figure out with other guys. I'd give a shot of any of those other guys at a cheaper price than I would having to make him the highest paid player in the league.
The quarterback market is going to be very interesting. That's 5 or 6 pretty good quarterbacks we just named that are good enough to be starting in the NFL. Add 4 top rookies in. I don't know why, say if you were the Jets general manager, you'd want to do this.
Yeah, I would say if and it would actually pertain to any player you felt exceptionally strong about too. But we've moved back a little bit in the draft. There's been situations I've tried to move up in the draft, but I would say simply that the simple answer to that question is yes. And if that was a player we felt very strong about, we would have no qualms about potentially trying to go up and get him.
That's Jets general manager Mike McCagnon on ESPN New York 98.7, saying that the Jets would be definitely willing to trade up to get one of the quarterbacks they need. You know where the Jets are drafting? Right after the Broncos, at 6. I think they're going to have one of those top 4 quarterbacks available to them as well. And as I talked about yesterday, I don't know that any one of those 4 is standing out more than the other. So why trade up? Maybe by the end of the combine, the end of this process, one of them's the clear favorite. Rosen, Darnold, I don't know, Josh Allen. Right now, man, they all have about the same potential to me. Coming up, I'm on Brady's side. Everybody else is on Belichick's. I'll tell you why. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and ESPN app.
Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code Ryan to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. Mybookie.ag, promo code Ryan, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. MyBookie.ag.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
There's just no way around it. It is a big effing deal. That's what Joe Biden said to Barack Obama some years ago with the legislation they passed together, and it is what you should be saying about what's going on in New England, where the power triumvirate of Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady are showing, what are we going to call this? Pulling apart at the seams, cracks in the foundation, trouble on the edges of the kingdom. The Huns are coming in on the Roman Empire. It just hurts me that the Roman Empire now exists in New England and no longer in Dallas. But here we are, and all good things must come to an end. I'm a big fan of Bill Simmons. He tweeted out earlier today, what's the surprise, essentially? You got a 40-year-old quarterback, you got a 65-year-old coach, and a 70-something-odd-year owner. Everything comes to an end. It's true, it does. But that doesn't mean it isn't a big deal. I want you to think about the franchises that could be impacted by what's going on in New England. Think about the franchises that could be impacted by the personality of Alex Guerrero. Think about the franchises that could be affected by the coarseness of Bill Belichick. Because these are the things that supposedly, according to Seth Wickersham, the investigative reporter for ESPN, the magazine, are stressing the foundations of the New England Patriots. It is Tom Brady finally bracing under the coaching style of Bill Belichick. It's Alex Guerrero, Tom Brady's right-hand man, being essentially kicked out of the facility and having his free reign taken away. It's who will be the last man standing, and it is the quarterback future of the New England Patriots, according to our own very own Seth Wickersham.
I think that Tom wanted Jimmy gone so he could have the peace of mind that this was his team. He was going to be the president in the future for a while. And all of that culminated with Robert Kraft essentially tipping the scales and making a football decision. And, you know, within a couple of weeks, Garoppolo was traded to San Francisco. I mean, Bill Belichick texted Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers head coach, and said, will you give me a call when you wake up? And then when they talked, he said, will you take Jimmy for a second? And that's essentially how the trade went down.
I can't get over. Listen, we've all had this debate today. All of us. All four of you disagree with me. And apparently many of our callers at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. So many disagree with me that you all feel like Tom Brady is the one that comes out looking bad from this piece. Tom Brady's the one that looks petty. Tom Brady's the one that looks vindictive. Tom Brady is the one that looks insecure. And my response to you on that is, it's what every professional athlete protecting his turf, every professional athlete protecting his job would look like. And how would you expect Tom Brady to look in this piece? Who do you think this came from, Steve Cerruti? Who do you think were Seth Wickersham's unnamed sources? What camp did they belong to?
This is your best point of the day. This clearly came from Garoppolo's camp. It did not come from Brady's camp. The whole thing made Brady out to look like the bad guy. I get that. But, Will, what you're saying, I'm not saying that I wouldn't feel the same way Brady does, because I would. I'd be trying to fight every last second to hold my spot. But when you ask me whose fault it is that the Patriots aren't going to have a more prosperous future with Jimmy Garoppolo on their roster, that's Brady's fault.
Okay, listen, first of all, I'm not assigning fault. I'm not assigning blame. I'm only taking sides. I think everybody in this equation acted in their own interest, and their interest not only just selfishly, but what they think is best for the New England Patriots. I don't begrudge, number one, Tom Brady saying, I'm not grooming Jimmy Garoppolo.
Fine.
Okay, we're on the same page. I'm not helping with his footwork, and I'm also not letting him into the TB12 Center.
2 weeks before the trading deadline, Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft had a meeting, and they've met a lot this year, more than in most years, but...
All right, that one's not it. There's too many of them up here. I can't even sort my way through all the sound. Apparently, after Jimmy G got injured, he tried to make his way over to the TB12 Center, knocked on the door. No answer. Knock, knock, knock. Door locked. Jimmy G can't get in. He calls Alex Guerrero and Tommy. Hey, anybody home? No answer. You can just picture Jimmy Garoppolo walking around to the side window, peering in. Lights are off. You're right, Strudy. Apparently, Tommy would not only not help groom Jimmy G, wouldn't help him recuperate at the TB12 Center.
I'm okay with that, too.
All right, so we agree. He acted in his own best interest. What my point to you is, I think he also acted in what he feels like is the best interest of the Patriots because he thinks that's him. He thinks he's playing until 45. I don't think Cliffs or other quarterbacks, Brett Favre, Joe Montana, I don't think there are lessons here. I actually believe Tom Brady's got several good years of high-level MVP like this level of football to go.
More than 18 months.
Do I get to start now or like the end of January?
We'll give you the end of January.
I get to the end of January?
But then we're holding you to 18 months.
More than 18 months. Tom Brady has more than 18 months of MVP level.
Let me say this really quick. The biggest fundamental difference between you and me, you're looking at this from a perspective of Tom Brady and a personal level. I'm looking at this from a grand scheme perspective of saying, what is the best move for the long-term future of the Patriots? And there's no way you can say that's not keeping Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster.
What's long-term?
Long-term is continuing to keeping your franchise relevant for the longest possible time.
What's What's long-term?
That's 10 years with Garoppolo.
10 years.
At least. You know he can play. Belichick knew he could play. Belichick didn't want to trade him for the longest time. And by the way, when you were talking about teams that were affected by this, you didn't mention the Browns, who offered a 1 and a 3 last year in the draft for Garoppolo, and the Patriots said no. So it's another team that was impacted.
Listen, by the way, can we? I'm genuinely curious here. I don't know the answer. How often do you find decade-long starters in the NFL? I'm just curious. Like, how often does that happen?
I mean,
you don't have to answer right
Browns
now.
Don't, but
you don't have to answer right now. But I'd be curious. Like, we act like that just happens and that's just a guarantee. And Jimmy G, you know what Jimmy G is? He's going to be starting for a decade for the Niners. Jimmy G looks good. Jimmy G looks promising. I don't think it's just a guarantee or even a safe bet to say you all of a sudden have a decade-long starter in Jimmy G. That's just because he looks good doesn't add up to that.
You want to go through it right now?
No. At the end of the segment. You can come back to me, okay? By the way, I don't begrudge Jimmy G either. I think because the Patriots offered him a deal. They wanted both. They wanted to drag this out over years. The report in Seth Wickersham's says $17 to $18 million a year with escalators if he became the starter. Jimmy G said no to these deals. So Jimmy G's not looking out for the Patriots' long-term future, just like Tom Brady. He's doing what's right for him.
Because Brady's boxing him out of the facility. Brady's not letting him do anything.
But my point
he can't grow.
But my point is,
or anyway, it's nobody's fault.
It's nobody's fault. My point is, everybody's doing what's right for them. Brady's doing what's right for him. Garoppolo's doing what's right for him. And Belichick is doing what he thinks is right for him, but not just this like magnanimous, altruistic thing for the Patriots. He offered Jimmy G to Kyle Shanahan. By the way, that's not all he did. Reportedly at the Combine, he went to Kyle Shanahan and told him and mentored him and coached him on all the mistakes he made in playing them in the Super Bowl and how to get better. Then he calls Kyle Shanahan and offers Jimmy G for a second. He doesn't say, what will you give me? He doesn't try to get a first. To your point, he passes on a first and a third from the Browns. He doesn't take the best deal for the Patriots for Jimmy G.
That's because he liked Jimmy G. He wanted to put him in a position to succeed.
Well, okay then, but is he looking out for the long-term interest of the Patriots in that case? Is he being this altruistic, I'm here for the organization guy in that case?
He's looking out for a guy that he thinks could be good and doesn't want to ruin his career.
He's doing just like Tom Brady and Jimmy G, where everybody was doing what they thought was right for them. So I don't put fault on anybody. I'm just telling you at the end of it, I'm on Team Brady. because I think being a hero to a city, being a legend to a city, being the starting quarterback for 17 years, winning 5 Super Bowls, being the MVP in 4 of them, being all pro 3 times carries a little weight. That's what I think. And by the way, still playing at an MVP level. Still. Today. 2-1 favorites to win the Super Bowl. Today. With Tom Brady. You're selling out not just your past. You're selling out your present for this prospect of a future. That's what I think. Who will raise the trophy? Find out Monday night. The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio and ESPNRadio.com and on the ESPN app. All right, so you have the answer to how often teams find starting quarterbacks that last a decade. I want your calls, 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Team Brady versus Team Belichick, sorting out the soap opera drama in New England. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Bowl season is here. Are you ready to cash in on what you know? Where you play is as important as what you play. The pros play at mybookie.ag. All the lines, odds, and plays, both college and pro, all at mybookie.ag. Play where you get paid super fast and there's never a hassle. Step up and mybookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code Ryan to activate the offer. Don't leave the money on the table. Mybookie.ag, promo code Ryan, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. MyBookie.ag.
Well, this is my first week on radio. Not my first week on radio. My first week, my own gig.
With the show. Yep.
Yeah. And we're finding sea legs. We're finding out what works. And I said earlier this week that this is...
Doesn't that make it our time?
This is our time. This is our show. My name's on the show. Well, I don't just mean it's Rudy, Bubba, and Smallman, Kevin Winter here and there. We'll try not to make it too much. It's you folks listening. You're going to shape the show. You're going to participate in the show, 888-729-3776. But here's what I want to say. Man, I've really been humbled.
Humble yourself!
This week has been awesome, and the feedback has been incredible.
No big deal.
The militia is taking off quick. The revolution is in the streets, and I want this to be like what I want to do over time is the very nature of radio is to talk at you, but I want to talk with you. And that's why I want to take calls. That's why I try on Twitter to respond a lot. And I don't do a lot of broadcasting on Twitter, but I hope I do a lot of replying. We want to start doing, I want to start doing this on Facebook. Now, I have a Will Cain Facebook page. There's a show Facebook page. It's a great way to go back and forth. I really do want to create a community where we can have some of this stuff out. And the awesome thing is, there's a lot of people saying, "Hey, you represent a voice we haven't heard in a long time." Meaning, maybe my I don't know where I'm from, maybe my positioning on some things. But the truth is, it's not just people that agree with me, and that's my favorite part. It's people that disagree, because we just got to start. I like messy life. Like, come at me, come give it to me. I don't have to dislike you. I end up liking you more. Anyway, that's what I want on this show, on social media. Like, let's get together. A little community. Throw a few punches. See what it's like. Lee, speaking of, listening on Sirius XM in the great state of Texas. What's up, Lee?
Yes, I have a question about, I watch football all the time. I love football. And I like seeing you on TV, Will, because you always are straightforward. And you always are controversial as far as giving people food for thought. But I keep hearing this thing about the Patriots winning 5 Super Bowls. Well, they won 3 Super Bowls. The other 2 they won was coaching decisions. They had nothing to do with it. The fact that against Seattle, had they ran the ball, they should have won the game. But they threw a pass, and the guy that won the game was the defensive back who intercepted the pass. Well, then we get to last year, and the Atlanta game. That was ridiculous. I mean, they threw the pass down to Julio Jones, bad pass, but he caught it around the 20-yard line.
I got you, Lee.
Run the ball 3 times.
Lee, I got you.
And kick a field goal.
I got you. And there's no doubt about this. Many things. I appreciate the call, Lee. There's many things that contribute to the outcome of a Super Bowl, to the outcome of a season. But Brady does not get too much credit. I just want you to think about this. I'll just leave you with this. Rudy has our update on how many quarterbacks, or Smallman has our update on how many quarterbacks actually last a decade in the NFL. But I want you to think about this. Just look around in your life. Just around in your life. Doesn't have to be in professional athletics. I want you to look around at who succeeds, who sticks with it. And I want you to think about how common it is, like real success, not just in sports, in life, in business. It's rare. People do well. Do people do great? And then I want you to think about the sacrifice that's required to achieve that level of greatness. It's an incredible amount of sacrifice. I'm talking about discipline. I'm talking about wake-up time. I'm talking about giving up on social life. Oftentimes sacrifice of family. I'm talking about eating things that you don't want to eat and not eating things you do want to eat. What I'm telling you is athletic ability and things that shine and sparkle on the field and off the TV, yeah, that's one way. But the thing about Brady is he's those other things that is just as rare. Your 40 time, your vertical leap, that's rare. That discipline that Tom has, that's spectacularly rare. That drive, that's spectacularly rare. All right, what do we got? Who is it? Cerruti or Smallman? How many quarterbacks? How often does this happen? Oh, yeah, we got our next quarterback for the decade.
All right, I want to go through it. Let's go through it. Let's go division by division. Cowboys, Dak. You got to think he's there for a decade.
No. I'm not talking about projections, man. I'm talking about how often does it really turn out that a guy like Dak turns out being a 10-year guy?
Okay. Eli, 1. See, this is hard because Russell Wilson's going to be there for a decade.
How many? He's getting, what's Russell?
He hasn't been there for a decade.
5 or 6?
Probably, but he's going to be there for a decade. Easily, unless barring some crazy injury.
Matt Ryan's
got to be there.
Drew Brees was there.
Matt Stafford's close.
Cam Newton.
Aaron Rodgers.
So you're telling me it's more common than I said?
It's way more common.
I'd say look at the common playoff teams over the last decade. A lot of them are the same. AFC's different because remember the AFC has always just been Manning, Brady, Roethlisberger in the Super Bowl.
Flacco. All right, so give me the AFC. How many decade-long starters in the AFC?
Rivers is probably the only outsider of that group that we've already mentioned of those.
We have Flacco, Roethlisberger, Rivers, and Brady.
Right.
4 in the AFC. You're right. It looks a lot better in the NFC.
Yeah.
But you're going to sell me on the AFC that this is a thing that you can just count on? How many times has it been tried in the AFC? How many times did teams think they had a guy for a decade? I know you don't have the answers to those questions. But my point, and I'm not sure I win this debate. Sometimes I'm going to lose a few. It's just look, I'm a Cowboy fan. We think and hope we got a guy for a decade in Dak. But I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. And I don't think 49ers fans can say they got a guy for a decade in Jimmy G. They got a guy that they're ready to try on that hat to see if he's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. But I don't think you can start counting those chickens just yet. Tom on Sirius XM in Florida. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Will. How are you?
I'm good.
Congrats on the show. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Didn't happen to a nicer guy.
Thanks, man.
Hey, I'm just curious why the public narrative isn't more this is Jimmy G's fault when you consider that Tom Brady years ago agreed to take less money so that he could make the team better. And now you have Jimmy G turn down a contract offer for $17 to $18 million a year, but it's somehow not his fault that
it's a great question.
Tom Brady wants what he wants finally.
It's a great question. Thanks for the call. Why is Tom Brady supposed to be sacrificing his career at the altar of Jimmy Garoppolo's? And Jimmy Garoppolo's not supposed to sacrifice a few years of his career at the altar of a legend? Why don't we ask a few Patriots fans? 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Maybe I'll let Kevin Winter talk on that. Why has Tom got to make all the sacrifices? Why is Jimmy G clean on this whole deal? The Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. That, straight ahead on The Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. I was getting a little sappy earlier talking about how the first week is gone and how I'm humbled
yourself
by the response this week. And that I want this to be a community. I truly do. I want you to be on the oneandflowers.com Twitter feed at Will Cain Show. I want you to tell me when I'm wrong at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I want you to interact with me. I don't want, and I didn't get into TV and radio to talk at you. I truly did not. I got into talk with. That's why I like doing First Take, man. I like talking with Stephen A. and Max. Even when it's heated and even when it's called yelling and even when it's a debate, I like it. I like the interaction. I like the messiness. And so I will find places. I will do my best to find places, be it the phone lines here on this television show, be it my Twitter feed, be it on our Facebook pages, to interact and help create that community. I'm going to ask you to do the same. Go on to iTunes, rate and review the Will Cain Show podcast. Tell everybody what you think, no matter what it is. Tell them what you think. Call your affiliates. And we're going to blow this revolution out of the water. I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. I know it. Let's start with Dallas. Sup, Dallas? Call your markets. Let's get this thing going. Let's grow this revolution.
We just need a name first.
Willisha?
We'll get there. I don't think we've settled on that yet.
Mutineers?
Wonder Liquors.
Citizens? Wonder Liquors. It's the Wonder Liquors.
Always
Speaking of cool communities, Michelle, give us this. What's going on? So we're going to have the megacast for the college football playoff game again, right?
Correct. I was just reading our ESPN press release about the megacast, and there's some cool stuff going on.
Is Coach Patterson back?
It doesn't say. It says a lot of the coaches in the film room TBD.
Okay.
So potentially, we'll see. I hope they bring him back.
So what is going on?
So we've got, it says that there's 5 ESPN-centric shows that are going to be going on. We have our Squad in Miami, the Dan Le Batard Show. We're going to have SportsCenter, NFL Live, a lot of our personalities at ESPN at LA Live, and my personal favorite, the Cool Room in New York.
The Cool Room.
The Cool Room. It says a number of ESPN personalities to be announced at a later date will watch the game from the ABC Times Square studios in New York.
So the Le Batard Show room and the Cool Room aren't the same ones?
There'll be 2 simultaneous cool rooms, I guess you could say.
Yeah, do we have enough cool people for both of those rooms?
I think so. I think we could put together a cool squad.
Who's in the Cool Room? I'm not. I've been invited. Who's in the Cool Room? I live in New York, too. Don't ask me now, by the way.
You begging for the invite?
Nope. Wouldn't say yes now.
Sounded like you were.
Clearly not cool. Who's cool?
Should we run down the roster?
Who makes the Cool Room? How many people are in the Cool Room? Half a dozen?
I don't know. We haven't gone through the names yet.
I mean, just from a production standpoint.
It's strictly in New York.
So Pablo Bomani, right?
Definitely.
I think so.
They're in the Cool Room.
I think so. Katie Nolan's in the Cool Room.
Definitely.
Cool Room. Cool Room.
Cool.
Who else is in the Cool Room?
Mina Kimes.
Yeah, probably.
Cool Room.
She's not part of the Le Batard crew, though?
It just says Dan and Stu will be joined by their normal cast on the radio program. So I'm not sure.
Dominique Foxworth? But also Le Batard or Cool Room? Don't know. So we didn't get to half a dozen. I think you got to have half a dozen for the production.
We have 4?
Bomani, Pablo, Mina,
Katie Nolan.
Katie. That's 4 in the Cool Room. Max?
Beetle.
Well, I don't know if she's in New York yet.
I know.
I'm going to say she could be at the LA Live.
Jalen?
Jalen's in the Cool Room.
They're going to put Mike Greenberg in the Cool Room, too?
Is Greeny in the Cool Room?
Oh, bummer.
Not cool.
All right.
I want Greeny in the Cool Room.
Huh?
I want him in the Cool Room.
I think Greeny's cool.
See if he can hang.
I like Greeny.
Zubin Mehenti.
Zubin's cool. Zubin's one of my favorite dudes.
He should be there.
Everybody loves Zubin, though. That's the
He's
thing.
the man. He should be there.
Right. There's a couple guys with 100% approval rating. It's Zubin. Adnan has, right? 100% approval rating.
What about Max Brados in the Cool Room?
I want Max. Let's do that. If Max is in, I want Max then to come in here and give us a report on how the Cool Room went when it wasn't on air.
You could be our Cool Room correspondent.
Yes.
Cool.
I want all the background gossip, like who actually wasn't cool in the Cool Room, who was tough to deal with.
Were there cliques in the Cool Room?
Totally.
Is there a hierarchy in the Cool Room?
You know there is. All right. We'll be all over that. All guests, as I said, on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program at fuelrewards.com/gold. All right. So there's some people that think there's some holes in my argument, that I'm being a little bit too Tommy-centric, that maybe I've drank Brady Kool-Aid while you guys are all drinking Belichick Kool-Aid. Michelle, you have several rebuttals that you've been sitting on for 2.5 hours. You may have the floor.
So the argument that you laid out, you're essentially saying Brady or Garoppolo, correct? The way that I'm looking at it is Brady and Kraft versus Belichick. And it's more like Brady went above Belichick and took away the thing that's most important to him, which is his power. So when Kraft essentially sided with Tom Brady, he took away that power knowing that he could essentially mortgage the future and Bill Belichick could walk away. So when you're talking about this earlier and you're saying he sat down with Kyle Shanahan and talked about the Super Bowl, he's making sure McDaniels and Matt Patricia are set up for the future. He wants Jimmy Garoppolo to be in a situation where he thinks he succeeds. To me, that sounds like a guy tying up loose ends, a guy who knows that after the end of the season, he could walk away and everything that he cares about is in place.
You think you told me it's like writing a will?
It sounds like a football will. I want to make sure that everything is in line before I leave.
So you think that Kraft made his choice, and the choice was Belichick or Brady, and he chose Brady.
Well, if this story is to be believed, which that's Wickersham, I'm sure, he has many sources inside the building that there is this power struggle going on and that both cannot exist together moving forward. He had to make a choice, Brady or Belichick.
Did Kraft just fire Belichick? I mean, not fire him, but he had to know. I think you're right, Michelle. I do. I don't know how that hurts my argument, but I think your observation is correct. I think Kraft could probably convince himself this isn't the way it has to be. This is like a tragic ending to a movie. It doesn't have to be this way, guys, but both of the big characters know it has to be. The knife has to go in one of us. And I'm going to be the one pushing it, or I'm going to be the one receiving it. And Brady and Belichick had that knife back and forth. And Kraft's like, no, it doesn't have to be this way. And we know whose button was biggest.
This reminds me of 20 years ago when Parcells was ready to coach the Patriots in the Super Bowl against Green Bay. And the entire 2 weeks leading up to it was Parcells taking the job with the Jets. Is the irony of all ironies, if Belichick does leave, he goes to the Giants?
If Belichick ends up with the Giants, I am going to use the Will Cain Show and the Willisha to literally take to the streets of Dallas. Because if Jason Garrett is coaching the Cowboys or attempting to coach the Cowboys to the top of the mountain while Bill Belichick is in New York, I won't be able to deal with this. That will be maddening.
We could lose Will within a month.
Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. Don't come at me with my Carson Wentz versus Dak stuff. Now's not the time for that. Bill Belichick in New York, my only saving grace is the Redskins, but I'm not playing for division championships here. Jerry, you can't send Jason Garrett into battle with Bill Belichick. You can't do that.
Lambs to the slaughter.
That's where he ends up, by the way, isn't it?
If he has always said, I don't want to be Marv Levy, coaching at 75. The dream is obviously he ends in Foxborough. But if it leaves early, he goes to the Giants to try to get one.
Oh, my gosh. Please. No. 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 Robert Kraft, can you please repair this? I'd rather the Patriots dynasty go on forever.
They'll be fine.
It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This crew just likes each other so much that all we do is get together and keep the conversation going. I'm dead serious. All we talked about during the break was this Brady story. And because Kevin Winter is our resident, Pat's Kool-Aid fan, what's become very apparent is New England is going to turn Alex Guerrero into the scapegoat. Because the three main characters in this drama, Robert Kraft, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick, Patriots fans cannot turn on any of them. You can't get mad at any of these guys. So who can you get mad at? The crazy whack doctor that changed Tom Brady. That's the bad guy in this whole deal.
You got to work on that a little bit there.
Oh, was that? I wasn't doing a Boston accent.
Because it sounded like you were trying.
No, honestly, seriously, you know who the problem is here? It's this quack doctor they got that's changed Tommy. How's that?
That's solid.
Hung around with Solo for a few months. Can you believe this guy? That was no, but that's what they're doing.
No, keep going.
That's what
it's going to wind up in a promo.
No, but seriously, can you believe this guy? I can't do it. That's what they're going to do, though. And didn't Guerrero, as we speak, just put something up on Twitter like the Alex Guerrero that I am? What'd it say, Cerruti?
It was a ton of nothing. He basically talked about how he's thankful for his family for letting him work so hard. He's thankful for the Patriots organization for giving him a shot. He just wants to make people feel better. He knows people criticize his methods, but he just wants to do his thing.
He sees it, man. He sees it.
He loves the fame part of this, though. He likes He likes that we know who his name is now.
And the TB12, this is helping them.
He sees all the arrows pointed at him, though. That's who they're going to come after. Can't come after Mr. Kraft. Can't come after Tommy. Can't come after Bill Belichick. The Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance, and guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. I'm reminding you that if you missed any of the Will Cain Show, including why I'm Team Brady through this whole deal, I don't think Belichick's at fault. I don't think Garoppolo's at fault. I don't think anybody is to blame.
Or anyway, it's nobody's fault.
But I still am Team Brady. Every hour is available in the Listen tab of the ESPN app. Here's the funny thing. What we were talking about during the commercial break is after all this is said and done, after all this drama comes out in the press, after Seth Wickersham's report, and by the way, you know, the other thing is this isn't some ESPN deal. This is happening in Boston media as well. The guys at WEI, they're talking about this. They've known it for quite some time. Tom Curran, he's written about this. This rift has been there. The point is, this isn't some ESPN versus the Patriots deal. This has been known. After all this is said and done. Smallman, who are you picking to win the Super Bowl?
Patriots.
Cerruti, who are you picking to win the Super Bowl?
The Pats.
Bubba, who are you picking to win the Super Bowl?
I haven't thought about it.
Kevin, I'm not even going to ask you because I don't care.
Wow.
I think we all know the answer. Of course, people are going to stick with the Pats. This is the fuel. This is what feeds them. This is the rocket fuel under their ship. Bad press? The world's against us? Lock the doors. Batten down the hatches. We'll sort this out for one more Super Bowl. Make it number 6. That's not my pick. You guys know my pick's the New Orleans Saints. Beating the Pats in the Super Bowl, mostly because of defensive reasons. But I have to admit, this is the exact motivation the Patriots need.
I also don't think this is going to impact them whatsoever. I'm less worried about them in the next month up to the Super Bowl. I'm more worried about when it's over, if they've, say, won it, and then what Belichick wants to do.
Every time this stuff happens, man, Spygate, Deflategate, they come back with a fury. Now, granted, this is internal problem.
I was going to say, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
Those were always the world against them. Now this is us against each other, allegedly.
But I want to read you this from Seth Wickersham's piece because I found this last bit very, very interesting as well. This move on from Brady stuff didn't just start this year. It didn't just start in September of this year. These conversations, this potentiality started in 2014.
The day they drafted Garoppolo.
When they drafted Garoppolo. It was clear Belichick was looking at a post-Brady future at that point. And how did Tom Brady and the New England Patriots respond? With a Super Bowl victory over the Seattle Seahawks. In 2016, Tom Brady signed a 2-year deal with the Patriots. I believe it's $28 million. But as part of that deal, it gave the Patriots the ability to move on, to have an out, should Jimmy G arrive. Should it become clear, as it apparently became to Bill Belichick, that it was Jimmy G's team. Now it was time for Jimmy G. What did Tom Brady do right after that deal was signed? After he was essentially on a 1-year deal? Win another Super Bowl.
Can I give you the quote from draft night from Bill Belichick?
One more, then no more Kevin Winter.
The situation we have at quarterback, we felt as an organization we needed to address that, meaning the quarterback, to some degree. See how it works out. I think you're better being early rather than late at that position.
And what did he respond with? Another Super Bowl victory. Every time the Patriots as an organization have been attacked from the outside, they've responded with a Super Bowl victory. Every time they've put notice on Tom Brady that they could potentially move on from him, he has responded with a Super Bowl victory. You have two things now going on. You have an external, as the Patriots will read it, I promise you, as the Patriots will read it and as they will twist it and as they will turn it, as an external media press attack. And Tom Brady, the only difference is this time, Tom Brady already won. He's got the biggest button. He got his successor out. There is no heir apparent. Does he respond with a Super Bowl the way he has in the past when it's been apparent they're looking beyond his future? Now the future only includes Tom Brady.
Do you think that this article forces them to actually address this drama? So past the Super Bowl into the future that they can settle this?
Internally. That's the real threat to the Patriots' future. It's not week 2 of the NFL playoffs. It's not against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game. This drama doesn't rear its head in a Super Bowl against the New Orleans Saints. I'll pick the Saints because of Alvin Kamara. I'll pick the Saints because of Michael Thomas. I'll pick the Saints because I believe in Drew Brees. Not as much as Tom Brady, but I see holes in the Patriots I don't see on the Saints. I won't pick the Saints because I think there's strife in New England. But when that Super Bowl is over, that's when all these chickens come home to roost. That's when we'll find the truth. That's when we'll find out if Bill Belichick is coaching the New York Giants or New England Patriots. That's when we'll find out who is the last man standing in New England. Thanks to all of our phone guests who have appeared on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line this week. I've enjoyed hanging out with you for my first week. I hope you'll be back next week. Goodbye, Kevin. See you next week. Cerruti, Bubba, Smallman. The Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Fits